Okay, thank you, everybody. Got it? Okay, I'd like to call to order the Katuitt Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners meeting. Let's see, date, February 16, 2023, time 17:31:32, it looks like. Let's see, who do we have present? Present today,
Commissioner Pisano,
Commissioner Zace,
Commissioner Conley.
Chief Brown.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. Online public comment. Chief, do we have any public comment?
We have nothing in the chat, and I have not received any emails in regards to the meeting.
All righty. With that being said, we will be going into executive session for approximately 20 minutes. I'm going to read the information in a second. I just wanted to give everybody some heads up. We'll be going to executive session for what I expect to be about 20 minutes. The chief has the ability to put you all that are not part of the executive board into the waiting room again, and he'll just bring you back in as soon as we're done. But I estimate it'll be somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Okay. With that, under purpose 3, we'd like to go into executive session, discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on bargaining or litigation position of the public body, the chair so declares. Bargaining unit local 3642. Discussions regarding candidates for the purposes position of deputy fire chief. We will come back into open session. Do I have any motions?
move executive session for the reasons stated.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now in executive session. We'll be back with you shortly, all. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to move these folks into the waiting room, and then I'll advise when that's done.
Okay.
Okay, this time I just need to pause the recording.
Finally. All righty, we're back into open session. Thank you all for your patience. Let's see, public comment, review, approval of previous minutes. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at the previous minutes?
I will
I
admit.
did for both December and January, and as amended, I'm fine with both of them.
Yep.
All righty,
I'm fine.
okay, and I did as well. Any motions here?
Move to accept the December as amended, December minutes as amended, and the January minutes as presented.
And
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed, all set with that, thank you. Chief, we are ready for your report, sir.
Okay. And let me get this open here. All right, the chief's report for February 16th, 2023. Responses for January, we had 54 responses, 1 excessive heat scorch, 42 rescue EMS, 3 service calls, 3 good intent, and 5 false alarms. Any questions under the responses category?
for those false alarms, all automatic alarms,
I can look into that, but generally, yes. And the good intents, usually like the odor of smoke or steam mistaken for smoke go under good intent. But generally speaking, yes, the false alarms are typically fire alarms and occasionally carbon monoxide alarms with no readings. So.
thank you.
Under administration, we submitted an AFG grant for the replacement of 263. That's the Assistance of Firefighters Grant Program through FEMA. We submitted for $800,000, and we got a lot of assistance from Lieutenant Clark and Lieutenant Amento on gathering the necessary data and getting that into the FEMA grants portal. Also thank Ray and Lisa from finance, setting me up in Katuitt's FEMA portal as well, because I was not established within the FEMA system as a Katuitt employee yet. We also provided information to a Senator Lassiter Marston's Mills was putting in a regional grant to fund tech rescue training for training associated with the sewer expansion project as well. And that would be for all the districts in the town. We had a strike team response to Brockton for the 10-alarm fire that they had in Brockton. Ambulance 262 went up, and that was with Lieutenant McNamara, firefighter Emerson, and firefighter Kenzel. And lo and behold, unbeknownst to me, I was a strike team leader on the run cards, which I got a surprise phone call that's how the run cards were set up. So I went up as well with 5 ambulances from Katuitt, Yarmouth, Hyannis, Harwich, and Dennis. So, and then I continued to attend the RECC feasibility study committee meetings. I had one on January 12th and February 1st, and that is to discuss the feasibility of a regional emergency communications center. I just got to admit somebody here. To establish a regional emergency communications center with the towns of Barnstable, Sandwich in Yarmouth, and that includes all the 5 fire districts as well. Any questions under administration? Okay.
Nope.
Technology, we continue to work with Secure Networks to evaluate our current systems and implement the new IT options. We started transitioning today away from our paid Microsoft subscription and bringing that under the regular maintenance agreement that we have with Secure Networks now. So if anybody, if any of the 3 fire commissioners see any messages or indications that you're going to have access interrupted, just please let me know. But there should not be any issues with the transition. And, but you might get some pop-up notice about something expiring. If you do, if you could just please let me know, and I'll chase it down. And any questions under technology?
Yes, I had written all 3 of you that I was getting a lot of both advertising and spam mail. And I was wondering if other people were similarly affected. A lot of pitching of emergency response equipment and kind of very fishy sounding training proposals or service proposals, and a couple with pretty shaky return addresses that I suspect were phishing attempts. Didn't know if anybody else had been affected, and whether Secure Networks can take a harder look at our blockings.
So I apologize. I should have responded to you there, Rick. I've been getting those things for a while. I just hit delete every time I get them. I don't open them. I just delete them. So it's not a bad idea if Secure Networks can look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from the Providence Bruins really would love us to buy tickets.
Right.
All right.
That one, at least I know, is legit. We circulated that to the union 2 years ago when it started.
But I do what Kevin does. I delete, don't click on things, you know, it's only been a trickle for me. I mean,
Oh,
I've been getting ambulance and equipment ones for probably 2-3 years now at this point. I ended up on somebody's distribution list is what it is. So I don't know if they're real or not or whatever. I just killed them. Looks like Fran's been getting some spam as well. So it's out there.
Yep, and Fran, I saw your comment as well. Once that transition is done with, like I said, just started today. And once our Microsoft accounts managed under secure networks, fully, I'll send in a help desk ticket to see if they can assist with our spam filter settings. And I did receive an email. It was a spoofed email address purporting to be from somebody within our organization requesting to have their automatic payments, their payroll deposit rerouted. So yeah, so I knew right away, even though it had the right name and everything associated with it, and I could tell it was a spoofed address and a spam, or excuse me, a phishing email.
Mhm.
So I just made finance aware of it, that we're getting those, and to just be cautious of those as well. So, but I'll follow up with Secure Networks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, thanks, Chief.
All right, any other questions on the technology?
No.
Never mind, sir.
Personnel, we received a positive citizen comment. We received a thank you letter for from
Chief,
Katuitt
excuse me for 1 second, and maybe it's me, but training's next on your list, right?
Yeah, I have that in I have that under personnel.
Okay, my, so it is separate. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can break that out more in line in the future with the posting. So positive citizen comments. Thank you letter from Katuitt Federated Church. The union buys the turkeys and hams, I think, but for the holiday meals. And this year we also, due to all the construction over there, we helped with storing some of the perishable items until they were ready to be distributed.
Cool.
Under training, Lieutenant Clark attended the peer support CISM training that was offered by COM, and that's in conjunction with a policy that we've been developing and is been vetted and will be released on critical incident stress management and in responder mental health. So, Lieutenant Amento.
Chief, Chief, I apologize. Can you back up? Can you expand a little bit more on that if you don't mind, sir?
So if the committee would be so willing to let Lieutenant Clark, who's on the call, explain what the class was. So,
I think that'd be worthwhile personally. You guys okay with that?
Thank you. So this was a week-long class offered through Centerville Fire that focused on peer support and being able to help the members of our organization and other organizations get through critical incident stress incidents. That was a 3-day class, and then there was a 2-day class on recognizing and prevention of suicide in first responders. It was held by an organization that is heavily involved in the mental health of first responders, police, fire, and EMS.
Cool.
It included fire departments from the Cape. The Barnstable Police Department was there. A couple of the chaplains were there, and it certifies all of us to sit on the critical incident stress debriefing team.
Okay, so I get you. So that puts you in a position to be on that team to go out as appropriate and/or for them to come in as appropriate, you're saying?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good to know. Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
yep. Lieutenant Mento, Lieutenant Clark, and myself, we attended training on the new Massachusetts fire code revisions that went into effect this year. And it's I much appreciate the work that those gentlemen do with assisting with the fire prevention duties in the district. So, firefighter Williamson, firefighter Gardner, firefighter McPherson, firefighter Lee attended the pediatric advanced life support class, and there was with the increased prevalence of respiratory issues, particularly in the pediatric demographic. This was really, I think, a great investment for the organization to have these folks up to speed and up to date on the latest with dealing with pediatric medical emergencies.
Chief, did that equal one person per shift? By any chance?
Let's see. Lee and McPherson. No, it didn't. I mean, so everybody has the pediatric training. This was just a little bit
No, I
additional. Yeah.
nope, understand. I think it's great that they did it. I was just curious to know if that meant all shifts were covered with that. So just thank you for the info.
Yeah. All right. Any before we get into the next category, which is deputy chief interviews, any other questions on training or the citizen comments?
Not from my side. Pro EMS is still good. We didn't do Pro EMS yet, correct?
Yeah, Pro EMS is in the Dropbox.
Yeah.
I have 2 months that I put in there just because of the compressed time schedule with the meetings during negotiations. We really didn't have the normal reporting intervals that we would
Right.
typically have. So I have 2 months worth of information in there for you to review.
Nothing, all looks solid there, chief. No issues that you're concerned with there?
No anomalies, no, sir.
Good. Okay, thank you.
All right, we conducted the deputy chief interviews on February 2nd, 2023. My thanks and appreciation to those that assisted with that. Had some really incredible candidates, but as was just reviewed, we're going to put forward Lieutenant Clark to extend a offer of employment and promotion to the deputy fire chief's position. And
Okay. So we'll do a motion in a second, but I wanted to thank you and Commissioner Zace for all your hard work that you put in there. So thank you very much for that. And please express our gratitude to the other candidates for their willingness and their desire to look at the village and to it. So thank you for your time. With that, gentlemen, do we have any nominations? Do we have any nominations? Do we have any motions?
Move to give let's see, I'm going to restate this. Move to give the chief the approval to move forward with discussions with Lieutenant Clark relative to the deputy chief, the opening for the deputy chief position.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, sir. Lieutenant Clark, best of luck. And we appreciate all your efforts, and we're happy you're in position, and good luck with the conversations with the chief.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Shane.
Thank you to the 3 of you and to the fire chief. I'm humbled to say the least, and please do move forward and work with the fire chief and get to work as soon as possible.
Excellent.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge Lieutenant Amento as well. Both Lieutenant Clark and Lieutenant Amento have been instrumental to my success I mean, all of you, everybody in this meeting and all of the personnel have been instrumental, but in particular, Shane and John have just they've done incredible, and it's been really awesome to work with them both. And I've watched them both grow professionally in the time that I've been there, and it's been you know, really really exciting to work with them. So I appreciate everything that they've done for the organization. So
Great.
Very nice to hear that kind of feedback, Chief.
Yep.
In this same vein, would you please consider sending a letter of appreciation to the outside panel members from the commissioners for their participation?
yes, sir, I will do that.
Good catch. Thank you. Back to you, Chief.
Okay.
Apparatus.
Let's see, apparatus, any other comments or questions under personnel?
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
Okay. All right. Okay, sorry, I was just looking at the chat box. That was just Fran's chat from earlier. So, okay, apparatus and equipment. The ambulance spec committee met with specialty vehicles for final spec review for 262. I just got the revised quote today, and I'll forward that along to you. And there is still no indication from Ford when they are going to start rolling off the F-Series 2023, which is what we're waiting to get. So this really is an open-ended challenge, if you will. So
Okay, and I appreciate all your efforts here, Chief. Just want to confirm, and I know we did, but just for the conversation, no signatures are needed at this time. We're still in line, we're committed, and if we do need anything, make sure we get that done. Let me know what we need, okay?
yep, and I'm going to review that document, and then I'll push it forward to the commissioners for review and in any further action that's needed. But I continue to reaffirm with the vendor that we are in line for a cabin chassis.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And not much movement. I didn't put anything else on there, but just in case you're curious, between budget, annual report, and the deputies process, there hasn't been really much movement on 267, the breaker. I did hear back today from on the UTV option, and the county is working on an intermunicipal agreement for that. So I should have probably sometime next month, I should have something to present to you on the UTV.
Great.
Okay.
And then under any other questions under apparatus and equipment?
Are we all done with repairs to the old engine?
No, we're not. So 263 is still at the vendor, getting repairs done to it. The challenge with that particular vehicle is the availability of parts for the vehicle. So they're hunting around to find pieces to do the appropriate repairs and maintenance to the vehicle. So yeah.
And we still don't really have a timeline on that, do we, Chief?
No, we check in periodically with them, and we do not. So you've heard me say it. I think I say this every month, but these are the most unprecedented times I've experienced in almost 30 years of being in the fire service. When it comes to access to equipment and supplies and availability of resources, it's truly strange times.
Yes, it is.
So anything else under apparatus and equipment?
No.
Not from my side, sir.
All right, and then lastly, on the facilities, we're still waiting for a quote on the steers. We contacted several vendors. We only heard back from one. They came down, did all the site work, and now we're just waiting back for an estimate from them. So. And
Okay.
that is all I have on the facilities. And that is conclusion of my monthly report. And I know it's still on the agenda. Just got to kick over to the agenda.
So under old business, I think we hop into old business here, correct? So
Yep.
under old business, Adam, do you have any report on the school committee?
I do not. It's the same update as last month's meeting, which
Okay.
is, I am not aware of anything to update you with.
Okay. All right, thank you. So the other committee that we kind of created we did create last time around was the facilities, next generation station requirements committee. Chief and I have had some conversations on that. I've been reading some documentation he had put together in his previous role. And we'll be getting together over the next week or so to talk about perhaps bringing in some additional resources to be part of that conversation as we establish the needs assessment, right? And we're going forward to try to make sure we understand what the needs are so that we are moving forward and getting that message out to the community that we do indeed need a new station. Okay. All righty.
I have two in this. One is to you, Adam, and the school committee. I've encountered both DPW people over there boarding up and repairing vandal damage to the building within the past 2 weeks, and bumped into one of the local police officers who was on patrol to the building for more reports of inappropriate activity around the building. So the longer it sits idle, the more vulnerable the building becomes. Just very distressing.
Yep.
I have had, by way of reporting on the bylaw committee, Fran, I'm glad you're here. I've heard nothing from anyone about any activity with bylaws this year. And
Well, they have your name. I think Mark is doing bylaws, so I'll push him again. Been pushing
I
for a
don't
while.
mind not having heard. I just want to be on record.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say about the school, as far as I know, they haven't been to the planning board to get the A&R for a small piece of land that they're going to be having, so it can't be built on that, be right on Main Street. The conservation restriction, the last I heard, I believe that's in Boston somewhere. The oil tank has been pumped dry. It's still in the ground, but it's been pumped dry, so the oil's gone. And I go by and I've been contacting the town when I see damage to the building also, so. But I'm sort of hoping now that they've passed this giant zoning change for Hyannis. And they're about to tackle the project on the harbor and get that out of the way. Maybe then we'll get to the planning board with our tiny little A&R, and so that will help move the process along.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Fran. Thanks, Adam. Rick, anything else there?
I mean,
All righty. Under new business, I think we have 2 items to review tonight. One would be the preliminary budget that we've been talking about, as well as the annual report. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to suggest we take the easiest one first on the annual report. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at the annual report? Any thoughts, any corrections, anything?
I've had a chance to go over it, and in general, it looks fine. The chief and I already touched base about a minor error correction that he's working on.
In fairness,
Okay.
I'm playing a little catch up, Chairman. I read that this afternoon for the first time, so I will read it again. And Chief, if it's okay with you, I'll just forward anything I find, or not that I expect to find anything. I'll just send you some thoughts.
Yeah, please do. There'll be another one that goes up in there soon, because I realized my pie graph was off a little bit, and I've had that adjustment made. I just haven't put the that revision in the Dropbox. But certainly, if you see anything else, it's worth pointing out that this is fiscal year 22's annual report. So I was only here for not quite three months of that fiscal year. So if there's anything that you feel is worthy of recognition in that time that I wasn't present in the district, please let me know.
Absolutely, and I think you did speak to it to your lieutenants to verify to check with them as well, right? We
I
discussed
did,
that.
yes, yeah, I did. I sought input from Lieutenant Mento, Lieutenant Clark, as well as firefighter Staggs as well.
So I guess the two pieces I would kind of throw just as a question, and I'm not saying it's gospel by any means, but we have been working towards a second ambulance for the last couple of years now, as it would be, right? And I'm sure there are some people wondering what happened with that. And I'm wondering, again, just as a throw out here, is it worth having a comment in there under vehicles?
Sure.
Under equipment that references the efforts in, with an estimated time.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, we have had a lot of conversations. Now, granted, we just did a committee now, but we have had over the course of the last year a lot of conversations on needing an additional facility. So my question to you all is, under building and grounds, do we put some type of a reference in there that the consideration, we have begun consideration in 22 towards what the requirements will be going forward for a new station?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's a question. Rick's on my left-hand side, so I'll look at Rick. Rick, any issues with that? Are you good with that reference being put in there?
I think it would be a smart move to put it in. I would add that maybe instead of a news station, that we talk about just station needs.
Station needs in general, that we're looking at station overall need. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, that's a little twist is good. Adam, you shaking your head there?
I'm agreeing with what Rich just said.
Okay, cool. Works for me. And then Chief, there's a couple other ticky-tack things I saw in there. I'll get to you directly. You just hit them, so we're all good there. We good with the report, gentlemen? Okay. When is that report due to go to publish? When do we have to have that actually in? Do you know that date, Rick, off the top of your head?
This was a whole topic last year. We were going to try to get this in the late fall. The clerk has to have it by the end of March.
Okay.
At the absolute latest, and we thought we could get it to him substantially earlier.
Yep.
But I think he'll be content if we can get it to him by the end of February.
Okay. Well, at the end of March versus the end of February, if we're tracking, yeah, it looks like we're in good shape. Chief, you anticipate any issues with that?
No, none at all. I can probably have it done by the end of next week. I just have to adjust that graph, put in a couple of bullets, so to speak, on the two items that you just addressed, and then I think it would be I'd have to recirculate it amongst the commissioners, but then I would say that it would be ready to go.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
We're good with that one. I'm gonna move on to the preliminary budget. And again, preliminary budget, we're starting to look through. Chief, any objection or anybody else have an objection to sharing your screen and getting that preliminary budget up there? And let's start looking at some things and having conversation. You good with that?
Yep. Let me just work on doing that here. Just bear with me for a moment.
If it's easier, I can do it from this end too, Chief. Whatever. you
Yeah,
like.
if you have it, that would be good because I'm operating off of 2 computers this evening. So let me. Go down here.
Getting it now. I'm
Okay.
bringing it up, Chief. Yep, we're all good.
Okay, yeah, you should be good to go now.
Yep. Okay, share screen. What do we share? We're gonna share that screen there, share that. Okay, what do we see here? Let's blow that up. There we go. Let's get you guys out of there. Okay. I believe I have what we want to look at, correct, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first of all, Chief, I'm going to throw it to you with a quick question. Is there anything specific you want to point out before we start having some conversation here?
No, I did a fairly deep dive into the last 5 fiscal years with some assistance from again from Ray and Lisa, and picked through the various spreadsheets that we operate out of, and looked at the trends over the last 5 years, and then the potential contractual implications, as well as the inflation concerns. So there's a couple minor tweaks that, based on information that I just got, I think it was yesterday, in regards to fuel, which is going to potentially go up another 44% over what I have here. And again, I got that information after putting this into your Dropbox. But other than that, there's not any real significant. I don't think anything would catch anybody too significantly by surprise.
So Chief, line item 33 is what you're referencing is going to go up another 40%, correct?
44%, yep.
44. So that's I don't have any edited bill. I would have highlighted that red. But okay, I got it. By the way, Chief, can you do me a favor because I cannot edit this? Can you lock in when you do it next time? Can you lock in those top 5 rows so that the headings here stay with it as you scroll down?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And then I think probably another one of the most significant jumps that you'll notice, I think probably if you look to the percentage change column, you'll see a 91.78% change, and that is to the incident permanent, which is where we get the where we charge the callback to. That was that line item was decreased approximately 3 fiscal year, maybe 3 fiscal years. It was about cut in half. And however, in 21, it was 140% expended. In 22, it was 187% expended. And currently in 23, we're 150% expended. So it makes sense.
So Chief, give me a second. So he's 150%. So we're like at 50 something thousand, 52, 54,000 now on that.
let's see, so FY '23 was budgeted at 36.5.
Correct,
and
yep.
We're currently at, 54, yeah, just shy of 55,
Okay.
if that's what you said, yeah.
Yep, cool. Okay, that makes sense. And that's because obviously we've incentivized the crew to come back in, and we were just having this conversation a little while ago about all the second calls we get while the crew is out, correct? So that's why that number's going up.
Yeah, I see an increase in the personnel responding on callback, and yeah, and as I've mentioned to the board, or at least in passing to individual commissioners, it's I find it very interesting. It seems like it's kind of feast or famine, and it seems like not very often that we just get one call. It seems like we get 2 or 3 calls all at the same time. So it's kind of an interesting trend that I've noticed here. So
Well, it's interesting too, when we were doing interviews for chiefs, one of the gentlemen who had interviewed brought those numbers forward to show us that what the percentage of overlapping calls was. It was very interesting, actually, but okay, that makes
yeah,
sense to me.
and which is also why every month I in your Dropbox, we put a overlapping call report as well. So,
Right.
But
So-
so that's a fairly significant increase. Also looking at an increase in training. I think again that there's been a really positive response to the training that we've been doing and the increased opportunities for training. That budget is generally underexpended to just about expended, looking at the 5-year trend. But I anticipate that as you know, as we get this new energy in the organization, that you'll see you know, more opportunities and more interest in training. So
Chief, I am curious, and obviously the gentleman, anybody can hop in here and ask some questions. You're going flat on electricity here, and heating. That kind of surprises me. You don't anticipate an increase over the next year?
So those ones are still potentially in flux. And I still need to do a little bit more research on those 2 items. But looking at, I'm sorry, if you could just give me 1 second, I just need to change my view to make sure there's nobody in the waiting room here.
Look like another iPhone came in.
Yeah, okay, I let that person in, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't have anybody waiting, so.
Sure. So what you're saying is.
Currently, let me just pull that up in my,
That's okay. I know it's still work in progress. It just caught my eye, and I'm gonna, I'll turn the conversation over to the rest of the other commissioners, but that one at flat just caught my eye.
yeah, so interestingly, I think Mother Nature played well in our favor on that particular budget line this year. And so we're currently trending a little under, and we're coming out of the cold season on those. So that being said, we budgeted appropriately this fiscal year. It's difficult to say what the you know, what the weather will be like next year, and I don't have a firm handle on what those cost increases will be moving
Okay, I get that, and I'm gonna, and real quick, so it looks like we have an 8.1% increase based on where we're looking at right now overall. That's kind of statement 1. And then from a expenditure point of view, didn't we take, yeah, we're saving some money on expenditure because we're not getting another brush breaker, right? We pulled that one out of here.
Yeah, correct. So the breaker was forecast and the CIP for next fiscal year.
Yeah.
And if you look in there, instead, I'm recommending a forestry skid unit, which will be
Correct.
closer to $15,000 instead of, you know, a $400,000 or $500,000 purchase.
Yeah, I'll go for that any day. Thank you, Chief. Okay, going the other direction here. Adam, did you have any questions here?
I only saw this again this afternoon, so I do have questions. I don't know if I need to ask them right this minute.
Okay. We're going to be able to review this again next commissioners meeting. I think this is due at the end of March as
Yeah.
well. So we have some time with it, and you can obviously talk to the chief about it. Am I correct there, Rick? I saw your head come up a little bit when I said it's due the end of March. That's correct, right?
We'll check with Fran while she's on. Typically, we do a preliminary presentation sometime earlier, and then a final proposed budget by the end of March. Is that right, Fran?
You're on
You're
mute.
still muted.
Yes, we'll have you present your budget at the March Prudential Committee meeting. And at this
Which is-
month's February Prudential meeting, we need to review the FY '23 budget and how that's going.
Okay. And your prudential meeting is typically the third week in the month, I believe, correct?
The fourth Monday, it's the 27th.
Fourth, okay, so that'll give us, like, to the point, it'll give us the opportunity on our March meeting to have a final review before we go to the board. So all goodness there.
All right, Chief, I have time to get to you and sidebar on a few things.
Okay,
Yep.
I
Yeah,
had-
yeah,
I had
anytime.
some things.
Cool.
The
Adam, Rich, you're up.
the full-time wages are marked at 8%, which is more than we're looking at in the new contract proposal. Is that reflective of seniority? The differential?
I think Chief, I think that's based on, keep in mind, Rick, under the next contract, we have some incentives built in for additional function, right? So additional certifications. So when you look at some of the certifications that we have built in, as in boat operator, and you take in some of those, there's a couple others in there, scuba rescue diver and so forth. I believe, Chief, that's where you got your 8%, making some assumptions on who's going to do what and who's going to be in position, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Because those get rolled into base salary, but if they want to be called out separately in a line item, then I can work with Fran, Lisa and Ray if that's the.
I don't see, unless somebody disagrees, I don't see any need to have them put out separately. They're part of the salary compensation, so they should be in there.
I had several questions.
Hmm.
The next one is related to what you discussed about the incident permanent line and the adjustment for it. Given that we have just moved to authorize you to go forward with contract negotiations with Lieutenant Clark for the deputy chief's position, we're going to be looking to fill a vacancy in the department, right? And
Yeah.
that person is going to be available for coverage. Was that factored? It's actually a two-part question. Was the cost of bringing a new person on board factored in, and where should I look for that? And the second is, did you anticipate the impact of that, if we can get that done in a timely fashion, on need for additional personnel and callback, and at a lower scale?
So I don't totally understand the question, but I think what you're asking is because we'll be having somebody at a lower labor grade that we'd actually achieve some savings there as well. Is that the question?
That's
I
part of
know-
it, although those savings may be potentially offset by the cost of onboarding a new individual till we get done all the ancillary expenses of that.
So I think I can help with that as well, though. When the deputy is in position, there still will be a recall that'll be put out there. Right, so the deputy's role will not be filling that recall role. When there is an opening at the station, that recall will be done. Is that your question? To boil it
I
down?
assumed it would still be in play, but it is likely to at least partly be answered by a lower grade new addition. Assuming we're less likely to get a very experienced person coming in.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, there's some potential savings there. There's going to be an increase in shift coverage costs, but we'll also still have, as long as we have a vacant position, there's cost offsets there as well, because we're not paying salary for a position, we're not paying benefits for a position. There's still some savings in that area for the offset. Hopefully it'll just be not hopefully, but it'll be if all works out well, it'll be as planned, it'll be a short time that that vacancy exists. So, and that should kind of bring a little bit more balance into the budgeting process.
Right. To that point, and this is to the other members of the board more than to you, Chief, do we want to push for the beginning of a recruiting process ahead of the vacancy? If Lieutenant Clark and the chief arrive at a satisfactory contract term, he won't start that position in this fiscal year, will he? Will he?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would just as soon get moving with the process and do everything unless there's a direction from the board that I delay that process.
Yeah, so let me hop in if I may. There was never any discussion about, rolling over into next fiscal year. I think the intent, at least I thought the intent all along, was that we will, bring on the deputy as soon as we have made that decision and identify the deputy. So I don't see that person going into the next fiscal year unless that's something we need to discuss. And the other part, as far as recruiting goes, my gut tells me that some of the gentlemen that are on the phone right now have already started recruiting, right? So I do think the recruiting begins immediately to try to backfill that position, in conjunction.
After I asked it, I realized that as I glanced down, we authorized salary for the position and it's in place. So there
Correct.
doesn't need to be a delay.
Nope.
Sorry to have obscured that by my question.
Oh, good.
I had one other area off the top about the draft budget, which is the 20% increase in sick coverage.
Mhm.
Question two.
When I look at the current expenditure ledger, we're in pretty good shape on that line item in the current fiscal year. But I confess I do not have at my fingertips the past 4 or 5 year review that you did, Chief. So I'm curious to know what your thinking was on that.
Yeah, thank you for calling that out. I probably should have used that actually comment column to add some context to some of these numbers, but there's also 1 second, I gotta let somebody in here. in the tentative contract, there's the access for additional leave and the use of sick time. And so I don't know. I don't know how often that will be utilized, but I feel like we need to kind of recognize that there's a potential for people using the sick leave for the
Parental leave.
parental
Both.
leave. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So does it need to be 20% based on the past trends? Maybe not, but that's why I put that in there as a placeholder for that article in the contract.
Yeah, no, now I understand. I mean, we need to discuss it some more and think about amounts, but good. I completely forgot about parental leave.
Yeah, and that's on me. I really should have. I forget that you can't read my mind sometimes. So I'll be more diligent about using that comment line. So,
Shouldn't we consider breaking that out?
By contract, I mean, we can
No.
talk about that, but by contract, that is sick leave that they'll be taking, that they're eligible for. So by contract, it would be under that category.
right.
We can identify it separately if we want. I mean, there's nothing saying what we can do here, but it is under that line item, that's all.
I just think from an operational standpoint, having more clarity around where money is going is good.
I don't disagree with that. I do think you have to be careful that you don't have a line item for everything that goes on, but maybe potential parental leave is one that would be appropriate for that, but I don't see any issue with that. Do you, Chief?
Right. I don't see any evidence of people trying to do anything other than be transparent. So,
Yeah.
we can always talk about that and present it as such, but
Yeah.
the public,
But it does, right, but it does come out of that account number, so that's interesting. So it comes out of that account number in the system. So unless we created a separate entity account number, what, Chief, you and I can talk about, we can talk to Ray about that and see if it makes any sense to do. Or when we do our annual report here, or talk about what we've done, we can break it out as far as what was parental costs.
Yeah, I mean, it's incumbent upon all of us to explain this to the district taxpayers, that's all.
Mhm.
Yep.
Whether or not it's broken out in the budget line, I do think that keeping a list of the elements that feed into significant budget line item changes,
Absolutely.
particularly increases, will be crucial for the annual meeting when we bring this budget, or even for the March meeting with Prudential, when we bring this forward to give them a much more categorized view of the elements in it.
And I think we can very easily put some comments off to the side, which would be how I would suggest would be the best way to do it, just so to your point, being transparent, that's what's included in here.
Yeah. And I do have that comment column, and I'll add context to all of these numbers and make the adjustments based on the new information that I got on the fuel and any additional information I get on the heating and electrical costs.
Okay. Rick, anything else?
The last item I had for tonight about this was just curiosity to the chief about dropping the miscellaneous line item, miscellaneous expense. I know it was only $1,000, but I believe in past years, it's often come in handy to help patch holes in the budget that emerged toward the end of the year.
Yeah, so I actually moved, I probably should put a note there too. I moved that $1,000 up into
You know which line item, chief?
Yeah, no, you know what, I didn't put the note in, just give me,
At the risk of being a smartass, $1,000 doesn't fill a lot of, it doesn't
well,
do.
what I did is I looked at the transaction level detail and, most of that miscellaneous expenses, I found were tolls for training. Everything, pretty much everything had a training element to it. And so I think what I did is training and education, no, where is it?
Nope, that stayed
I
flat.
put it in fire prevention education.
I did increase, but, oh, yeah, I did increase fire prevention education because that was overspent. And I think it's important to invest in the educational materials. So I did increase that line. Yeah, I'll throw a note. That's another one that's on me. When I was working on this, I was just working on it in my own mind and not adding that context under the comments. So, but I didn't just do away with that. Based on what I saw in what that expense line was being utilized for, it seemed like everything kind of had an appropriate place within the budget. So I just moved it into the appropriate places is what I did. So.
Rick, do you have a strong feeling about putting miscellaneous back in there?
You know, Mr. Chairman, it is a small amount. It was always budgeted as $1,000, and in the scale of the larger budget, it was a small amount. But we encounter, you know, we're asked to set this budget up on a wing and a prayer and a projection, and
Right.
I just always like to have a little reserve somewhere tucked away for the things that will be new next year that will go, never had to pay that one before.
Right.
Yeah, okay, no, I see the point. I can certainly,
Well, to my follow on to my other comment, and then I think we would probably do well to consider a different number than $1,000.
It sounds like Commissioner Zace thinks it should be 10,000.
Exactly.
It wouldn't give you that much of a hard time about that, Adam. We give the chief discretionary spending up to 5,000.
No, fair point, but
You know, at the
we
very
have to-
least,
we have to explain these at the ADM, and
no, but we do enough nowadays with the electronic accounting. We do enough that we can explain it. But if he has $5,000 worth of spending discretion, particularly in this general category where expenses are so hard to peg down, just like the preliminary discussion about fuel costs, I would actually consider supporting an increase in the category to a more usable amount.
yeah.
But-
So between now and the preliminary presentation to Prudential, we can maybe talk about that sidebar. We could talk about that with.
I think we rename that to the Zace Fund, right? It'll be in place forever, and we can point to it as far as an expense that Adam has asked to bring forward. So I think that's good.
I just think given the times, $1,000 it just doesn't do anything.
The valid point, extremely valid point. We can take a look at that. Chief, we can talk about that, but I think your point is well made, so thank you.
okay.
Okay,
If this
do
were
we have anything else on the budget, gentlemen? Adam, I'm sorry, I spoke over you.
I said, if this were 1723, that'd be a lot of money.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Given the constraints of the OML about outside consultation between members, we basically are restricted to funneling a lot through the chief. as we, between now and when we have to present a preliminary budget, is there a mechanism by which we can have this draft, as we had encountered with like contract problems, each revision, each adjustment, getting a specific draft number and superseding the one before it so it can be circulated so that we can at least look, make comments, ship it back to the chief?
So I think that's absolutely appropriate. I think this is a sheet, right? This is an Excel file that we all have access to, so there can be a new version of it. This particular one is right protected, which it probably should be, right? So nobody puts anything on there per se, but there is nothing wrong, obviously, with us sending a note back to the chief. And I frankly, I'm a line item guy. I would send it back to the chief and say, line item number 45, telephone lines other, why is that such and such? Right? And if we go with that nomenclature, I think it makes it easy for him and take it from there. And again, we do have our meeting at the beginning of March, and we do not have to go to the end of March. So our preliminary, we have a little bit of space on it. The chief's done a great job bringing it up to, getting it up to speed quickly.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the budget, thoughts, comments?
No,
Tonight.
not tonight.
Okay. Do we have, I don't think we have anything else open at this point, do we? Any other new business, gentlemen?
Any public comment?
Well, I'm gonna get there next, actually, but yeah, so no new business, any public comment?
No, Mr. Chairman, nothing in the chat. Let me just kick over to my emails. And no emails, sir.
Can we confirm that Jamie is still with us?
Yep.
She is still with us. Excellent. Glad you made it through, Jamie. Thank you. Okay, do we have any motions?
I move to
We
adjourn.
adjourn.
Oh, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. Chief, thank you for your hard work. And Shane, if you're still there,
Shane,
best of luck. Jamie,
congratulations.
nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.